We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed.
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty brew while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger. And I guess with me, as always, I throw it over to Jack because Jay's not here. We're all sad.
Yeah. We won't forget you. Sorry you had to work. Working is hard. Never forget. The plight of the working class. Yeah. I'll write a novel about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So filling his seat today, super stoked to have you.
Really
Welcome
glad to
to
be
the
here.
Nerd Room,
Hey.
N64 Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me.
At N64 Josh? Do you always include the at?
It's just, yeah, no, not typically.
It always cracks me up to be like, yeah, at.
Yeah.
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 Double at.
No double ats.
N64 Josh, thank you
Yeah.
so much for hanging out.
Yeah,
We're old friends.
Yeah.
We've known each other for not like whatever too long is, like just before that.
Yeah.
Like, right? After this show, we'll see.
Yeah, like, what, like 8th grade probably? I mean, we probably knew.
At least of each other.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember you were the kid that listened to,
Oh, great. What?
I think, Ministry.
Oh, yeah. I listened to some Ministry.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't get this Ministry stuff. I think I was probably listening to, like, Metallica.
Oh, yeah. I listened to some Metallica, too.
Yeah. And Korn. I listened to a lot of Korn.
You did listen to a lot of Korn.
Yeah.
I think I remember fixing the fence in my parents' backyard with our little boom box, rocking out to some Korn.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think
Yeah.
that happened. Yes.
Yeah. And I think maybe at a birthday party, there was a dartboard, and somebody threw a dart backwards, and I think Dave Brown caught it right in the center of his hand.
Maybe. That sounds like very Dave Brown, right?
It totally does.
Yeah, yeah.
It totally does.
Well, in this episode, we are going to talk about some Nintendo stuff.
Oh, yeah.
From our different perspectives,
Right.
which will be great. Because I've reached out to you. We went and had dinner and we started bantering about it. So that'll be good. Before we do that, of course, please follow us on Twitter. Like, share, tell all your friends. Take that subscribe button to Pound Town. As long as, what is it, Jack? As long as if you're already a subscriber.
If you're already a subscriber,
it's even numbers.
Digits. If you're not
a subscriber,
yeah.
continually odd numbers so that
Yeah.
you stay subscribed.
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
That's
it's
the
not
only way to do
convoluted
it.
at all. The point is to hit the subscribe button.
Until it says subscribed, and then hit the bell, and then hit the like button. There's all sorts of
it'll
buttons.
be in Jack's novel.
You
It'll
should
make
know.
sense.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Play to the Working Man, coming out 2019.
So do all that. Tell your friends. Thank you for everybody that's joining us. Totally appreciate it. So before we do all that, though, because it's my favorite part of the show,
Yep.
let's drink some beer, dude.
Okay.
Today we are drinking Stay West IPA, 7% from Breakside Brewing in Portland, Oregon. Apparently this is their tribute to the classic West Coast IPA, which I think has like been long forgotten.
Oh, okay.
It's true.
Interesting.
It's all like East Coast one. Well, you can kind of tell, right? Like, look how
Yeah.
it's a little bit cloudy, but I think that's a little bit of chill haze on the glass,
I gotcha.
right? It's all this East Coast, really hazy, not Northwest. I'm expecting this to be piney and very hoppy. We'll see.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
It smells Northwest. Are you drinking with us, Jack?
It smells
Something non-alcoholic?
yes.
Because
Your
we
root
don't
beer,
promote
bro.
that.
Yeah, we're not rascals here.
He promised to save his first beer for the show, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
Don't worry, we're corrupting
5
him
years
in
and then
so
you're
many
ready?
other ways.
I got 2
Yeah.
years.
When do the training
I'll
wheels
take
come
that
off,
as a
Jack?
compliment.
We need to make him some little training wheels to go on his root beer glass.
I'm drinking
I like this.
Kutztown root beer since 1851, bottled, stored since 1851. So I'm really, it's like drinking a Crystal Pepsi.
How's the bouquet on that? Is it?
What's like flowers? I don't know. From east to west, it's all about Midwest.
All right, shut up
Is
now,
that
Jack.
some
We want to
rap-
drink our
well,
beer.
What's Jerome Rogers saying? Is that like rap lyrics? Oh, forget the east to west. It's all about the Midwest.
These rap lyrics.
I don't know. That sounds like a really bad rap, like a Minnesota rap. I wouldn't listen to that.
It's all about the Midwest. It's not about the Midwest. What a non-commitment.
He's probably from the Midwest.
Well, we're not.
West Side. Keeping it real out here.
Right? Yeah. Real concise. So let's do the cheers here. Hey, anybody else that's got a brew, feel free to join us.
I'm not going to screw it up this time.
Don't do that.
Not like last time.
No.
Where I just started drinking immediately.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't forget.
We reamed you about it already.
Yeah.
To all the nerds, through all the fuzz, bottoms up, let's get Nerdbuzzed.
Hey!
Oh my god.
Is that everything you'd hope for and more?
It's definitely bittery, wham, like right away. But I kind of like the finish of it. It's actually pretty good.
It's a little thin for me.
It's a little thin. Oh, you prefer a darker beer?
It's just not.
Just something meatier.
There's not much body to it. Not like I would like typically.
What is your preferred beer style?
This IPA.
It is?
Yeah, for sure. But
I bet you're part of the reason why there's too much East Coast. This is going to be a battle today, huh?
you know what?
We are going to throw down.
We're not throwing down.
I was debating.
I've been working on counting to 10 all day long.
Oh god.
To calm yourself.
We can stay calm.
This is gonna be bad, guys.
And
Get ready.
I have some weapons in my back pocket, like the PlayStation Classic. Really? You couldn't get a little more original, guys? No.
Yeah, right. Hey, I will say one thing. If we just started now. I would say one thing. I give PlayStation. Yeah, I give PlayStation a big nod for just go ahead and copy what Nintendo did because it worked. Right. Now, why can't Nintendo do that?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of one of my major things about it is you've seen the example. It works so well, and we all expect that to be the standard. Why won't you just fall in, man?
What? Why? What?
Well, okay, so one of the big ones for me is the voice chat thing.
Oh, here we
right?
go. Oh,
That's
we're
huge.
going.
I thought we did.
We're
I
going.
thought we
Okay.
did.
Here we go.
We're diving right
You
into
threw
it.
the PlayStation word out there,
Well,
right? You made it real personal.
Well, let's just hang on a second.
Okay.
We got to laugh for a second. Because the best.
Because this will be the end. We're never going to laugh
The
again.
best meme I saw today
Laugh again.
was a picture of the NES Classic and
Yeah.
a picture of the PlayStation Classic, and they're both hands holding up each system, right? Like, I mean, how could this be the case? And it said something along the lines of, "I don't mind if you copy my homework, just make sure it doesn't look the same."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but no AC adapter for that thing to plug it in. You just, it's like they copied the DS also.
What now?
It doesn't have an AC adapter. Maybe just a USB cable or something.
Yeah, it must just be like a USB.
Plug in.
cable.
I mean, I always plug my NES Classics into the.
Like
TV.
it doesn't ship with an adapter.
Yeah.
It's got to be like the cell phone one then, right? We've all got cell phones.
I.
That's probably why they didn't include your phone for voice chatting, so that way you can keep it charged, right?
He's coming back to it. He'll find a way to
I
come
know.
back to it.
I've been semi dreading this because I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right? You had me on your show. That was me in the Lion's Den. Welcome to the
No,
Lion's
I
Den,
was
Josh.
nice.
No, you were very nice.
We had our console war, but it was pleasant.
And really, like, to be totally honest, I am just the big fan of video games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really care who made. I do have my favorites for sure, companies that make games, but overall, I just really enjoy a good video game.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
I enjoy getting away, not worrying about the day. Maybe I want to be a ninja for an hour. Maybe I want to be a knight for an hour. Maybe I want to be Spider-Man. I'm almost done with Spider-Man.
Do you want to talk about the revelation you had about me before we?
If you want, I was shocked. I was.
So go ahead and tell them what you thought.
So what I had assumed, right? Because you're like the Nintendo guy. At least out of all the people I know personally.
Sure.
You are the Nintendo guy, right? So I assume that you like wake up and like your Switch is like on your chest, still running or dead, right? Because it's just constantly there. It's like you've got like finger marks in the back of it because you're constantly
like the
playing
imprint
it.
On my thumb on the A button.
Oh
from
yeah,
Mario
right.
Kart.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's just a permanent A there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just constantly playing Nintendo Switch games.
Right.
And I got this shocker today before we started the show. That's not the Nintendo fan that you are at all.
No.
Yeah, which blew my mind.
Right.
But I think also...
I thought you were going to send me home, actually.
Yeah, right?
You're
Like,
going to
no,
find somebody,
out.
some real fan.
Bring Holly in here. Producer Holly will fill your spot. When I was messaging back and forth with you the other day, and it was
not short messages, by the way.
These were novel. We did them back and forth, right? We are also writing our own book, Jack.
Full on. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're co-writing it here.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, and I was bringing up about all the news about the Switch and whatever, just asking you what you thought and everything, because you were like, again, you're like what I assume is the go to Josh, right?
Sure.
And so we started bantering about it, right? Me coming from my more casual Nintendo perspective, and from what I thought was your more, no, I play it all the time, and I'm obsessed with Nintendo perspective. And then we even went out and had dinner. It got brought up a little bit, right? We tried to keep it low-key because the ladies were there.
We didn't want to bore our wives.
Yeah, right, basically. Yeah, I'd come home and my wife would be like, I'm never going out to dinner with them ever again. Either with just them or just you and his wife, but not the two of you together
Right,
ever.
we're not allowed in the same room. Yeah.
And they were I think we had some pretty good chats, but you just weren't this like super obsessed with playing Nintendo games all the time that I thought you were.
No.
Yeah. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
You said your average was like 15 minutes?
Yeah. Most games, however long the first look takes on Friday mornings is about how long I play the game.
That blows my mind.
Like,
Except for the ones...
I make content. Unless it's a first-party title.
Yeah.
Or something that really draws me in. Like, for instance, when Doom said that they were going to be releasing Doom Eternal the same time as Switch, I was like, I'm finishing Doom. And so every morning I got up at 4 and I streamed, and I just streamed Doom until I completed it. But I didn't play it outside of streaming. I don't... He looked very shocked when I say, I don't play video games to relax.
Yeah. Right? Like, that's totally why
I don't relax.
Games.
Streaming's a different world. It's an entirely different world.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That is relaxing for me.
Yeah.
That is...
Which is
Or
interesting.
that part of it.
Kirby Geek, who is a co-host on the Nintendo Powercast, she says Josh just letting everyone down as usual. So
Yeah,
you know,
right?
Yeah,
you totally have let me down.
I wasn't sure
Right.
what that meant. I was looking at it. I'm like, should I?
No,
Is that...
yeah, no, she's good.
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
good.
That's,
And Rust
there's-
Belt Kid called you the Nintendo God. So I think at the end of the day...
But he's not.
I know, okay. I think he is very knowledgeable in like just the whole broad umbrella, and it sounds like he will answer every single question you have. It's just that like he doesn't have the time to sit down and play through every single game, because if you do that, then you just have no life.
False idol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally
Slade
false
Steel
idol.
Soul. Whoa, on the Nerdbuzzed side.
That's right. Slade is the comic book god.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind
the
because I had
same.
assumed that's what you were doing all the time. So, from my casual perspective, I came to you with multiple concerns I have about the Switch.
Right.
Like, what the hell are they thinking? Mm-hmm. And what is their motivation here? And basically just like their business plan as Nintendo. Like, I don't understand it as just like a big video game fan, where I'm coming from the PlayStation side of it, where I'm just used to all these things in my video game world.
Right.
And I really thought the Switch was going to come out and be this super heavy hitter to contend with all that. And which I don't know is necessarily what they're trying to do, but at the same time, they sure are chomping at the bit to like release every single game that they can get their hands on to compete with the systems in that way. Like, they do so many things where it kind of like contradicts their mentality, or at least the way that they sell themselves, right? Like, I don't know, is it a system for kids? Is it a system for adults? Is it a handheld? Is it a home console? Is it doing its own thing? Is it trying to emulate anything the other systems did? It's like, it baffles me.
The answer is yes.
to all those things.
Yes.
Right? Yes and no.
It's I mean, and we talked about this in our conversations. Nintendo has not been in the place it was in the 80s or 90s. And even, I mean, Sega rattled their cages and took 52% of the market share. That Nintendo at one point had like 98% of the market share, like when the NES was out, because they were the only ones there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, literally to the point that a judge told them, hey, you guys need to, I can't remember what the ruling was for, but basically they said, oh, okay, we won't do any returns. We'll send out a $10 off coupon. And that's what they ended up doing for their punishment is they said, oh, you guys all get a coupon, but still go buy more games.
Yeah. It was the Star Wars thing. That's the Star Wars mentality.
I mean, yeah, but they were supposed to be like, I can't remember exactly what went down, but the judge ruled that they needed to, allow consumers to return something, or it had to do with retailers or whatever. And the way they said, okay, they just sent out a coupon to everybody, so everybody could go buy another game for like $5 off.
Yeah,
that was it.
To me, that's like marketing that makes sense, though. I get it. I get what they're doing.
Yeah,
right. Like, and that makes sense.
But that's how they got punished, by having people buy more stuff. Like brilliant.
Oh, totally. No, that is pure business smarts. I get that.
They have dominated handheld.
Yes.
Since the DS, since the Game Boy, really. I mean, Game Boy had a lot more competition, but it still outsold everybody. DS, same thing. Like, I think it's like 100 and off the top of my head, I think it's like 119 million units.
Jack will look it up.
So I think
he's got to earn that stiff paycheck he get every week, Jack.
And then the 3DS came out, didn't start so hot, but is still, I mean, it sold like 750,000 units in December of last year.
Yeah.
154.02 million DS is sold.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I can look up the numbers on the 3DS.
So they've dominated handheld. The Wii positioned itself in the same way the Switch did, as a complementary system.
Yeah.
Right? Not many people bought. There were plenty of people that bought only a Wii, but the only game they bought with it was Wii Sport, or they only played Wii Sports on it.
Yeah.
Then they said, okay,
that was a huge letdown for me, by the way, with the Switch. I wanted some sort of a Switch Sports or something, right?
Yeah.
I wanted something. The 1, 2, 3 Switch is lame.
1, 2 Switch? Yeah, no.
Or 1, 2 Switch. It's
a cool tech
demo. You can count the marbles like 5 times and milk the cow a couple times and chuckle at that while you drink a beer. But then I'm kind of done and I want to play a regular game. The sports one, hours and hours.
You could bowl, you could golf. Everything was great.
It's hard to find the specific numbers, but in 2018, they sold 6.4 million 3DSs, which was down from the last year, 7.27 million, which probably has to do with, didn't they come out with another, like the 2DS XL? Wasn't that really big?
That's been out for a little while now. But so here they are. You're
getting a shout out, Jack. People say, why don't
a magic fact genie.
He's a magic fact genie.
I appreciate that.
You need to get somebody that you pay absolutely zero.
Right?
Yeah. You could probably get one of your kids
I got enough kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
They're just siphoning money off you.
So the Wii positioned Nintendo in a spot that, hey, this console's cheap enough. Everybody bought one. Nursing homes bought them. Like, they sold a lot of units.
But I think if we're talking about the Wii, because I also owned a Wii, I loved it. It's a phenomenal system, and I think the thing that made the Wii stand out is that it was so different than the other systems. It wasn't trying to emulate what they did.
Right.
It picked its own path. It once again redefined what the controller could be.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think I give them a lot of credit on. Even Super Nintendo. I always say, we owe our shoulder buttons that are now the gold standard for any controller to Super Nintendo, right? Huge props to them for that. It was phenomenal. I think then they did their 64 that has the funky 3. They went nutso with it, right? They were like shoulder buttons.
Like that.
You like buttons? Check this thing
you
out,
like
right?
a third?
Yeah.
Do you have a third arm?
You like sticks, right? Yeah.
It's for aliens.
So they went a little crazy and they lost it. GameCube, they really reeled it in. right? And they went back to basics. We're going to just really dial it in again, get rid of that third weird stick.
Yeah. So fun fact, that third stick,
Yeah.
if you look at the Wii nunchuck, it's identical to the
No
middle
way.
stick of the 64.
They were planning
Yeah.
it the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So
7 steps
Once
ahead.
again, they like hybrided.
Yeah.
Is that hybrided?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then the Wii U is this like terrible flop, right?
That
Like they missed their mark again.
but I think what they were aiming for with that was to be, even though it had the gamepad, the Wii U has a few problems. Marketing was the first one.
Yeah.
Nobody knew if this was a new system, if they were supposed to. They needed to call this thing like the Super Wii, or get Wii out of the name altogether, but still allow it to be backwards compatible. They needed to drop the title because it just confused everybody. Then third parties tanked immediately because there was no install base of the system. Then everybody left, and it left Nintendo with this system that has incredible games from Nintendo, but there's 140 total games on that system, physical games. I mean, there's a few digital ones as well, but
Wow.
Can you, on the Wii U, I've never owned a Wii U, can you play your GameCube and Wii games on a Wii U?
you can play Wii games.
Okay.
Yeah, so like when I got my Wii U, I transferred my entire Wii system memory to my Wii U. So it's all there.
It should have just been the Wii 2.
The Wii 2 instead of
Yeah.
Wii U?
I don't-
No,
just-
you missed the point. The
like-
point was to get rid of Wii
Yeah, Wii
in the
needs to-
title.
it needs
Try
to
again.
go.
But then I feel like if you say
Go back
Wii
to the bottle,
2,
Genie.
you're like, oh, it's the Wii, but it's more.
I think, well, and then they totally...
It's the intern camp.
They did, yeah, it is the intern camp. I totally agree. They missed their mark. Maybe they were ahead of their game. Like they didn't know what they were doing with it, and they've kind of like dialed that in with the Switch, right?
You can see it all leads to the Switch, right? Like
Yeah,
the motion controls to the tablet, it all leads to the Switch. The problem is, like, even the tablet on the Wii U, you couldn't go very far from the system itself. So you were pretty much stuck. But what it did is it allowed people to watch Netflix and play their games at the same time.
yeah.
Right,
So
which-
you could do two
which-
tasks simultaneously. Not with the Wii U. You'd
You-
have to have a different streaming device.
Yeah, you'd like watch Netflix
Yeah.
on your Xbox and then play, some games. Then you had certain games that they made you use the TV and then also stare at the tablet, like for like a map
Yeah,
or
yeah.
things like that. So, but here again, they put out an underpowered system that kind of left itself in a position of like, what is this? Who is this for? What, it had, I mean,
For me, that's kind of how I feel about the Switch. Like I love a handheld, right? I love a handheld. I love it when it's done right, and I think it's been a long time since we've had like Game Boys are great, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to they're not going to be able to handle the games that like your home console can. They just can't. It's a different world, which is awesome. And
Game
I think
Boy
they're
DS,
great. Yeah. Which is great. They are the top tier of that market, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I even think I would include your like PSP in there. I think your Vita is starting to get out of that a little bit, and it had like some of these Switch capabilities already in there. Right. Super limited market, very Japanese and indie game driven system, right? Like if you're into RPGs, JRPGs in particular, and indie games, then a Vita's awesome. It has all those things, but so gimmicky with all of its touch things, and they went nutso with it, right? The Switch to me is that like new handheld standard. Like as far as a handheld, cream of the crop, right? Like I don't think you get any better than that. It's almost the equivalent of that home console, but in your hands, right? Where I really struggle with it is that transition to their home console mentality, because it's not the same.
I feel, again, it's just my opinion, but I feel that they kind of waved the white flag to the home console market and said, is there room for a third, 4K console? I don't think so. I don't think. I mean, sure, it may have done okay, but unless they were going to come out with like, the top of the line system, I still don't know that people would have taken it serious.
So,
right?
in your opinion, you would say it is a handheld.
I mean, I play it mostly docked,
Or a hybrid.
and that's what
Yeah.
it is. It boils
That's
down
half.
to it's a hybrid. So you run into this problem with anything that's like that, whether it's
The jack of all
it's
trades.
music or whatever it is. If you have something that doesn't quite fit a certain mold, you're gonna have people confused.
Well, and I think the other issue too, though, is that anytime you buy a tool that's supposed to do every task in the job, you got that guy who shows up to the job,
Right.
But then you got
Sweet
the guy
Leatherman,
that shows
right?
up, yeah, right. But then you got the guy that shows up to the job with the tool bag with all the right tools.
Yeah.
That guy can just do a better job because the tools work better, right? Like this other guy's, the magic tool will do everything kinda. Like it'll get you through the job. But the ones that are dedicated to that thing, they just do that task better. That's just what they do. And that's where I keep running into, I think, with the Switch, is I think it's struggling to find its own identity almost.
I think its identity is literally the console that you get alongside your PlayStation 4 and your Xbox.
But it costs the exact same. I think if you weigh out all the peripherals they want you to buy with it costs multiple times over the other systems.
Right out of the box, when it came out, it was around the same price as the Xbox One and maybe the PS4 Slim.
Yeah.
Right? But when those consoles launched initially, they were still. I mean, Xbox was like $500. And,
Yeah, they were a little more.
So they were a little bit more, and I mean, right out of the box, you had the capability to do 2-player. It's not the most comfortable, but the Joy-Cons each work as their own individual controller. Not something I would play most of my games with all the time. Like
It's my favorite way to play.
No.
I pull them both off. Well, I don't tip it to the
I'm talking
side.
sideways, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
if
No, I don't got a
you
little,
Mario
little
Kart, you
5-year-old
can-
hands.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
That's the biggest drawback there.
But it's still pretty cool. Like when we first were getting started and we had games like Overcooked and things like that, that some games only supported that.
Yeah.
Snipper Clips was one of. We loved that game. Played the heck out of it, but it wasn't a game that like with a game like Mario Kart or something where you're having to constantly press a button and try to hit your triggers and everything. Your hands are going to get cramps from something like that.
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
you're
You need to be a
you're
little
doing a
more
game like
precise.
Snipper Clips, something like that, like it worked.
Yeah.
It worked fine. But so I think it's a complementary system, right? And I think Nintendo was like, we need to do something that's Super Nintendo, right? Like
That's everything they do.
Nobody else is going to have and they may now, but nobody else has a system that you can just walk into your living room, set it in, and then play on your TV, and
Yeah.
then take it back out and go to the, they show them going
Well,
up on
and
the roof and all those goofy things they were doing.
Although,
but-
to be fair, day one when I got my Vita, the first thing I did was fire it up, link it to my PS4 system, and I do have to be in the house, right? And you don't ever actually dock it, but all you do is hit a button and like, boom, it switches over. You go back in the living room, hit a button on your PlayStation 4 controller, boom, it now pops up on the screen and you're playing it there. Like it's not quite as seamless. Like I give it
Right.
to this for being super fluid and seamless, but it is completely the same idea. It's what they were trying to do. Yeah, there's a few more seconds in there while it does it, but you could do that. I think on your show I was saying, or maybe it was after in our banter, but I was saying I played Persona 5, which I have like 120 hours in. I bet I played at least 30 to 40 of those hours on my Vita, like in bed, while my wife watched some drama fest I didn't care about.
Right. And I mean, I think that's going to depend. Some of that's going to depend on the gamer and what they're playing,
Yeah.
right? For that remote play to work, because coming from the Destiny community, which was a lot of people played PS4.
Yeah.
Everybody said it was impossible to play Destiny.
Oh,
on there.
and like GTA, there's no way.
Yeah,
You just,
and so
the buttons aren't the same. Put
Yeah.
in R2 and an L2 on the Vita. Just do it. Right.
Yeah.
If anything, I've hoped, like Sony already made the Mini, right? I hope Sony just keeps copying what Nintendo did and give us a Vita 2 that has all the buttons, man. It can be as big as the Switch. Like, it doesn't have to be this little thing that fits in your pocket. I would love that. That'd be so cool to have a portable PS4 in my hand. Like, that would be the main thing I'd use it for.
I mean, for me, like, as soon as I got into first-person shooters, I'm like, I want a handheld with 2 sticks.
Yeah.
You know, like I was so into like my DS and playing like Metroid Prime Hunters and trying to emulate that twin stick. I had a special stylus that I could tape to my thumb, you know, so that I was on the screen like running it like a stick. The Switch was the first one that I'm like, oh, I can finally play shooters. And then I go and play with the Pro Controller and I try to play with the short little nubs of the sticks that are on the Switch itself, and I'm like, this is tough. But I mean, I just had to spend some more time with it.
Yeah, and I've gotten better at it too.
Yeah.
Being familiar with what they are, and it ruins me from when I go from my Switch to my PlayStation. It's like, no. The worst is when I some of my games, like the run button in my Switch, will be the opposite of what it is. It makes you sneak in the other first person, which is the worst in a first person shooter.
Right.
When you need to sprint, right? That's terrible. I die all the time. And then I'll like get it back, and then it's the horrible switch back to the Switch, right?
The A button not being
Yeah.
the bottom and the main button, it sometimes drives me crazy, especially when I go back to Xbox and I try to pick something and I back out.
Yeah,
like,
that reminds me of
constantly.
that's a Metal Gear Solid thing. Because all the Metal Gear Solid games work that way too. It's always the opposite. The button that's supposed to accept is the button that denies.
Right.
Right?
So, I would say the very fact that you own a Switch is a good indicator that Nintendo had to do something that was appealing enough to a PlayStation fanboy, right? I hate that word fanboy, but a PlayStation fan.
Yeah. It has this negative connotation
It
to
does.
it,
It's
right?
a fan man.
I think
A fan man.
Speaking.
Yeah, I was going to say that
I found
in
a
the
good
tweet. I
segue.
almost said that, and I was like, I don't want anybody to run with it because, again, it does have this negative air to it. But I was going to say, you call him a fanboy, we call him a fan man, and I just didn't do it. But we do.
I appreciate that.
I was actually going to ask, because you're talking about negative connotations. I wanted to mention this a while ago, but Captain Logan asked, why is hybrid a dirty word? And talking about like hybrid, how the Switch is a hybrid console. Mm-hmm. Like, why
I don't think that hybrid itself is a dirty word.
Right.
I think jack of all trades is a dirty word. A hybrid maybe only does a couple things, right? Which is more okay, but something that is trying to do a little bit of everything to stay relevant with everything, I have more concerns about that.
And I don't think I would disagree with that. I don't know that I see the Switch in that light as far as like, I feel like it does a lot of things really well. I can see the shortcomings. I can see the fact that like the system itself isn't, it should be more powerful. I know the reason they didn't, because it sells cheaper. They can turn a profit immediately upon selling the console, and a lot of console manufacturers sell their consoles at a loss at the beginning, hoping just to make up for it with software. But Nintendo doesn't do that, right? And now they've set themselves up, which I know we've talked about this a little bit, that you don't really care for it, but they could just sell an upgraded model of the tablet that still takes the Joy-Cons.
Yeah. But when has Nintendo ever done that? When have they ever released a system that works with any of the peripherals from the system before?
Every time.
Every time?
Except for Super Nintendo and the 64. But since then, GameCube went to, you could play on Wii. Wii could play on Wii U.
Yeah.
And then it stopped after that. But DS could play Game Boy. Like, so I shouldn't say every time, but a lot of times the past console has been playable on, unless it was a drastic change. And
like the Switch.
I mean, and they lost a ton of people were not happy that the Super Nintendo did not play Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Like a lot of consumers refused to purchase it, you know, and so that's why you see the Game Boy Color still played Game Boy. I mean, there's a lot of their systems did, but when you have a complete redesign that moves away from discs, and as far as just like upgrading a system to be more powerful, they had the expansion pack for the 64, which came out to be able to. I mean, certain games needed it because they couldn't fix. They didn't.
That was a thing for a while,
bug.
right? Like PS2 had that weird big compartment on the back. You could just, what is, like the system could be a third of the size less if it didn't have this big gaping hole.
Right, right. But then, you know, even the 2DS, the new 3DS, that's a more powerful system. And they have like 5 games that only run on that system.
Yeah.
I think they're smart enough to not do that. what my prediction is that it would be a tablet that can do 1080p, 60 frames a second, and would do the same on your television.
Will it have voice chat? How hard is it to put
Voice
Bluetooth in it?
So
Everything has Bluetooth. You can go buy a little garbage Bluetooth speaker in the checkout at Walmart for like $10 that will play off your phone. Bluetooth is not an expensive technology.
right, I believe
Just include it.
I believe the Joy-Cons run off Bluetooth already.
I don't get that. To me, my mind is boggled
Right.
that they just have refused to accept that.
And I mean, the Wii gamepad, the
Yeah.
Wii U gamepad had voice chat. The Wii had voice chat, but you had to hook up Wii Speak. It was a device you put on your television, hooked into your Wii, and then you'd yell at your television, and you could talk with people.
awesome.
Right?
Nice.
So that was
I
their,
have one of those.
That was there for
the
Animal
PlayStation.
Crossing. So
When the PlayStation first came out, I can't tell you how many times my wife came in the other room and was like, "If you don't quit yelling the word PlayStation, PlayStation, damn it, PlayStation, hear me."
The Xbox One works so much better.
Yeah.
The PlayStation One, they still need to kind of catch up.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
oh, I'm talking
they
about that's
bailed.
how they did voice chat.
Oh yeah,
On
you
the
can
Wii.
do that through the
Even
PlayStation one if
better.
you want. You
Yeah,
can
oh,
voice chat
right,
through
yeah,
the garbage
yeah.
speaker.
Oh my god.
The little camera.
So the only, I mean, what's strange for me is it's like a non-issue because of the way I game and the way I communicate.
And this is an epiphany. This is like I'm just realizing this now
Right.
today,
yeah,
like literally 30 minutes ago.
right.
Right? And I had thought Josh has got to have such issues with some of these things too, right?
Right.
And you were so nonchalant about it, and I was like, "What? But you're on it all the time. This is going to hit you so much harder than me, right?"
Right.
Not the case.
No. But the thing is, like, Eric, I Hate My Life, my co-host on
Yeah.
the Nintendo
Is
Powercast.
that his name?
Yeah. It's a long story. We met
I
on
love it.
Xbox through voice chat, so that's important to him,
Yeah.
right? The voice chat thing was important. That's a hang up for him. He wants to be able to have voice chat. Now, I like, because we've talked about this at length. I'm literally paragraph and paragraph. Let's say I feel like they pick the app as their option because the system is portable and also a home console. It's both things. So because of that, the app allows you to get into voice chat no matter what you're doing. Now,
If the system just had Bluetooth with a chat system built in, you could just chat. Because if you need your phone for like a connection to chat, you need that to play games anyway, right?
yes, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. The Joy-Cons, if you like, and they had issues right off the bat where like they would not, the signal was weak,
Yeah.
right? I don't know how all that technology works. I don't know, but I know like even putting the Switch in the dock behind your television with your Xbox on the entertainment center.
Shame on
kind of
that
stuff.
person that does that. Show that off
But
in front of the
right.
TV.
Yeah, show
Yeah.
it off. But if whatever, I had this happen where we set the thing up, and the Joy-Cons wouldn't work because it couldn't even be behind the we didn't have a way to get it out close enough, and so the other thing is cost. Right, you add. I mean, like we talked about, Bluetooth maybe not be that much, but then you have to buy either it has to have a speaker or a headset with it, or you have to then purchase a headset after the fact.
Yeah.
So there's another at least $30. So what I foresee is Nintendo said we're doing an app because we don't want to tie voice chat to another cost, right? We don't want to force
But
the
Nintendo-
consumer to get a headset. We don't want to force the consumer to only use our Pro controller when it comes with a grip that has no electronics in it whatsoever. It's literally just a grip for the Joy-Cons. Yeah. So you add electronics
power
to
source.
No
It's gotta have
power
wires
source,
in there somewhere, but yeah.
No audio jack. Looking from what I've seen of the inside of the Joy-Con, I don't know that they could have put the headphone jack in that. So I think they looked at it and said, for no extra cost to the consumer, We're just going to put it in the app. The other thing...
But then Nintendo, they do their classic thing where they come back where they're like, instead, we can get the cost out of the consumer by coming up with this peripheral and this peripheral and this peripheral and this peripheral. Like, they are peripheral hounds, right? Like, that's what they do.
Right.
Which I think for the, like, Super Nintendo fan, that is awesome. Like, you want keep giving me more. And I totally get it, right? Like, it hits your Nintendo fix. Mm-hmm. But if you want to play, okay, especially with this new online thing that's come out, right? I'm assuming Xbox is the same way. I'm not very knowledgeable about Xbox, but with PlayStation, you can buy a PlayStation, and as long as you have internet and buy your PS Plus, that's it. You can play online, and you're good to go. It doesn't come with a voice chat. Chances are you have something that will work. With the Switch, it's like you have to, if you want to do it, you got to buy a Pro controller, right? I don't think there is another controller for the PlayStation. I think it's just the one that it comes with, and that's it. There isn't like even Xbox has got their like Super Pro,
the Elite,
and they're like grease free, like everything, right?
PlayStation has an Elite now.
Do they have an Elite also?
Yeah, I think they teamed up with Scuff for something. Yeah. I believe they did.
It's not as popular as the Xbox one though. Right. The Xbox one is like was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even now, like with the online thing, you have to pay for your online service, which essentially gives you what was free before, but you get like 30? Is that right? How many games do we get right away?
20.
20 games. You get 20 classic NES games, and then 4 every month after that. But again, they're classic games. And you can buy the new controllers, right? The new classic style controllers, which I swear I've looked multiple times. They say exclusively work with those games.
That is true.
They only work with those games. Right. So now you have to buy $60 controller pack.
We don't have to.
Well, no, you don't have to. If you want
the
which I would assume is probably
factor.
Better. Yeah, right. And if you're a Nintendo fan, you're gonna.
Yeah.
But now you have to pay for the online service, which is cheaper, but you're not going to get any premium games with it every month, which is a standard that Xbox and PlayStation have set, right? Like PlayStation, you get one VR game, you get 2 PS4 games.
They stopped the VR game.
No more VR games?
Yeah. But you do usually get like 2, and then depending on if it's cross-play, which a lot of them are, you can get like a PS3 game or 2 on your PS4.
Yeah, and I know that they're going to quit the PS3 and the Vita
eventually,
games. Yeah, they're working on making those go away.
Captain Logan's is still waiting for the N64 Classic. PlayStation beat them again, man. They got it out before the PS1 came out before the N64.
Yeah. Well, and personally for me, like I don't have like this definitive loyalty to one system over the other necessarily. It's convenient for me to play PlayStation. And don't get me wrong, I love my Switch. Again, it's the pinnacle of handhelds. It's so fun to play that way, and I love it for that. Again, really for me, it's their kind of mediocre way that they're trying to like appeal to those people that are playing the PlayStation or the Xbox, and I think it looks appealing for you, but then once you dive in, it's just not going to measure up. It doesn't do the things that those systems do, which again is fine. I just almost wish they would avoid that aspect of it and just really focus on that handheld aspect that it's got going, and just stay more Nintendo focused. Like, I don't need to play all my games again.
So, are you talking about like ports?
Yeah, the ports start to get to me.
Like from the Wii U, or like are you talking like Wolfenstein and Doom and that kind of stuff?
So for me specifically, because I never had a Wii U, and the Wii is now basically at my parents' house forever because my nephews go over there, right? Mm-hmm. I'm more okay with a Nintendo port, like from a previous system, which I think they've already kind of given us with somebody talking smack.
No,
there's a flame war going on.
Oh, so the PS1 is going to beat the N64 for the second time, huh? Who knew?
Yeah.
Oh, Destiny, I love you.
It's getting hostile. Calm it down, guys.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Drink some more beer, Josh.
Oh, you and I are getting hostile?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna. By the end.
No, I'm at the comments.
We're gonna duke it out.
Well, I would like to come in as more of a neutral to this, because I mean, I don't know too much about Nintendo, and listening to what Josh is saying, I understand a lot more why they would use the third, like the handheld peripheral. And I think it was Captain Logan also brought up the cost
fight.
or wait, not the cost. The battery life, right? Like if you have it undocked, having that Bluetooth thing in there would probably drain the battery pretty fast.
But to be fair, that's a handheld concern all the time, constantly, right? Anytime you take
That
something
just adds the
portable,
concern.
it's forever a concern that
I
you're
think
going to run
so.
out of power.
Here's the last possible reason that I'll bring up, and this I know
This is specifically for chat.
for chat.
Okay.
When you Xbox, I know it was a struggle to keep the games running smoothly online when you added voice chat to it because it bogged down your bandwidth. It actually plays a part in lag and things like that. So now you're talking about a system that, you know, little Timmy or little Sarah is going to be running around the house and then doing voice chat and trying, you know, they're at the furthest part, the furthest away from their router as possible, trying to get as much bandwidth to that thing as possible. And they're on Mario Kart, they're just bouncing all over the place, right? Smash Bros. On the Wii U, the lag is atrocious.
But also, if you're doing it on your phone, you're using bandwidth.
But not for the same, you're not going from, you're using the bandwidth in the house, yes, but you're not trying to get the game to run and have voice running on that same, like on that same server at the same, you know, that's, that's where.
On the same band.
Yeah, on the same band. Yeah.
Whatever the term is for
whatever
that.
it
Somebody
is, yeah.
scream at us in the chat.
So I think that's another factor in it is that, and then you know, Epic's like, hey guys, just plug headphones in. You can do voice chat in Fortnite, right? Like, it just worked.
And it did actually work?
Yeah, with Fortnite, you can plug a microphone, like a
Is it sad that makes me like it less?
Fortnite.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, Fortnite and that the Switch was like, oh, we'll do it with Fortnite. Everybody play Fortnite.
Well, I think everybody was kind of shocked that it had the microphone, like the third ring on the, you know, in the, but we don't know, like.
That's almost a clearer sign that in the next model, like they were already aware of it. Maybe it was on the board, and it was cheaper to just get rid of the guts, but leave that third ring detection in there.
Well, so here's the thing. The one of the updates allows for USB Bluetooth to work on the system, right? So if you have a headset, I believe the PlayStation has this like a little dongle or whatever that you can plug in.
That's what I use. Yeah.
USB.
Yeah.
That will work on the Switch.
Okay.
So they teamed up with Astro to make headsets. So I'm like, oh, sweet. We're going to get this dongle that could plug into the bottom of the Switch, be Bluetooth, and then have voice chat. Didn't happen. They came out with two wires that one hooks up. One's going to hook up to your phone. One's going to hook up to your Switch.
Yeah.
But you can have your game audio and your voice chat in the same spot. They came out with a headset for Splatoon that was like a spaghetti monster. It was like you had this little mix amp and this cable going here and this one going here and this one coming here. And
I'm going to find that.
It was a nightmare.
It was a mess. So those are the reasons, though, that I think they avoided. And then Nintendo is like notorious for saying they don't want people to be able to chat. Now, even on the Wii U, like with Mario Kart, you could talk in the lobby with anybody. The moment the race started, they shut voice off. And I think that was due to the fact that they didn't want voice getting into and causing lag in game.
Do you think any of it has to do with the
amount that Mario Kart makes you swear
I was
so
gonna
much?
say, yeah. Oh, there's the Octopus Fest. Yeah. I've wondered that too, like how much of it. And then there's that part of it that I've been wondering about too, because another question I have is like, who is this marketed for outside of the like Super Nintendo fan? Clearly it's for them, right? But like who outside of that is it, like what is the demographic? Is it for kids? Like how many I didn't even know this, that you could bring up an option menu in Mario Kart, right? because I've never hit plus in the middle of a race.
Oh, yeah. So
I
at
always did
dinner-
it before the race.
Right.
I looked for it on the menu. I
Yep.
did it while it's 1, 2, or whatever, 3, 2, 1, or whatever, trying to get it. But the race starts, and then I'm in the race. So I
Right.
never did it after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, there's a path that comes up. I can go left or right. But if I kind of hit the middle, I get the little ridge, and I can get the like boop, boop, boost and get a little kick, right?
Right.
But it'll never let me do it. I hate this game. Rainbow Road is supposed to be a nightmare. It's a dream, right? Like, what's going on? And you were like, oh, yeah, turn that off in the options.
Yeah, he was literally playing Mario Kart without knowing you could turn off the auto steering.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why it's on default.
But it's not.
I
But
don't
it's
understand.
nowhere there.
No.
It never tells you.
No, I know.
And what reason would you ever have?
I think
to
it's on the
just
back of
stop
the
it like
box.
that?
It says
Oh, maybe.
new feature. But if you buy it digital, you're host.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that speaks to that they're aware that kids are going to play this, right? That people that aren't great at video games are going to play this, and they want to have fun, which I get it, right? Like, totally. If my nephew's playing with me, I want to turn that. Can you turn it on per people, or do I have to suffer with it?
No, per character.
So that's awesome.
So not only can you do auto steering, but you can do auto acceleration.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that wasn't on when I was playing, but I would totally turn that on for my nephews,
Oh, yeah,
right? It
for
would
sure.
make it more fun.
Yeah.
They would
And
be
that's
a challenge.
the idea with it.
Yeah, and I've said multiple times, Mario Kart is the worst game to play with somebody that's horrible at it, because you sit there,
You wait for them to
wait for
finish.
them.
Yeah.
There's no DNF.
Yeah.
Just include that, right? Like, you can include all these other things. Include DNF.
This one has it.
This one does have DNF.
Yes. Yeah. So if the 12th place doesn't get to cross the finish line.
Awesome. No, that is a badge of shame you've earned. Yes, it just is. When the race has gone on for 10 minutes, you've earned that badge of shame. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, watching someone go through Rainbow Road is just one of the most disgusting things ever.
Well, and some of them have like shortcuts, and I just couldn't take them. Right, I was getting really frustrated. But again, I think that shows that Nintendo is aware that kids are going to play this system, and that we're trying to include that like that social aspect, and we want everybody to play and whatever. Which again is what kind of confused me on the voice chat thing. But now, if it's kids, how are kids going to pay for their online gaming? Right, which I think is a weird route to kind of go.
Well, it is
for your
only
19
$20 a month.
But now you got to talk your mom into paying for it for you.
Sorry, a year. Sorry.
A year.
Yeah. Ooh.
So
That would be steep. It better come with better than NES games if it's $20 a month.
the majority of parents with younger kids have been brought up in gaming for the most part nowadays, right? Like, we're getting to that point to where
totally.
like,
It's almost weirder if you don't play games now.
yeah, I mean, I think my 17-year-old has been on Xbox Live for probably 10 years with his own account since he was 7, right? So, I mean, so I've been paying for that for a long time.
Well, and how many parents even just pay for their kid's cell phone when they're in like middle school or even young? I don't even know what the new standard for their little kid is. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just the fate we've accepted. Like, they're just, I mean, again, kudos to them for doing it. Like, I guess it makes sense. I wish you got more. I wish you got more than just some classic games. I do think it'll be the definitive way to play them.
For the online service.
Yeah.
So here's to keep in mind with the online service. But I do want to go back on a point real quick.
Do it.
I feel like Nintendo does something that no other company does when it comes to being able to reach people our age and even older, and people and young kids. Mario is like Mickey Mouse, right? But even better, because I can play through Odyssey and have an amazing time, and so can a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it
Like,
is for sure the gateway video game drug. Is Nintendo. Like,
But
they've got the rack. Dude, they are circling the playground, selling it to all the little kids.
right, little like ice cream truck.
Yeah.
So, but as far as online service,
Yeah.
okay, they said, hey, here's what it's going to be a year ago, and everybody was like, we're just paying you $20 for the same thing we have now.
Yeah.
Right. So then they went back and said, okay, now you're going to get NES games with online capability. You're going to get cloud saves.
Sort of.
Mind you, because of what Sony,
Their
and
backup cloud
Xbox,
saves.
yeah.
I think it should be very clearly understood that that's how they should be treated. Do
Yeah.
not treat them as your main saves.
No.
You'd
No.
be a fool to do that.
Right. Yeah, because it's just a backup.
Yeah.
It is a backup, which still has people frustrated because they're like, why can't I just have an SD card backup?
But even like a game like Splatoon, which maybe
Doesn't
I'm
have
wrong,
it.
but that's a Nintendo game, right?
So that's a Nintendo
Why
game
isn't-
that they already have a massive problem with people cheating.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And so that's what there's. I believe that's the reason. If we've even had a reason, Kirby Geek, if she's still in here, can probably tell me for sure. But she's like my
She
oracle.
might have got fed up with me.
She-
Well, Jack. Jack does it to everybody.
If she loves anyone that's mean to me, I promise you. So, but so I kind of lost my train of thought there, thinking about her being mean to me.
Flashbacks, just terrible, terrible flashbacks.
But so, Xbox has set and PlayStation has said like, hey, here's what's the norm, so what people expect, right?
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't necessarily mean that's like, it's not like Nintendo said, oh, we're gonna give this to you and then decided not to, right?
Yeah.
It's just because that's where our expectations are. And we talked about this last night, and the Eric is like, yeah, even though we are just expecting it, it's because it has become the norm with the other consoles.
For
Right.
sure. That is a standard for multiple consoles, right?
I mean, I love the fact that I can play in my room, then go to like in my office, and then go downstairs, fire up my Xbox, and pick right back up where I left off with. But an Xbox in both rooms, it's seamless. You don't even have to, you just sign in, you're good to go. So Nintendo did go back and try to add value to this thing. Compared to what it was, they added quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I don't. I want to be clear that I'm not saying I don't like the Switch, or I don't think that they've made some major steps, because I do think I think that the Switch is the route Nintendo should have gone, because I think that, like you said, they own the handheld market, right? So why not capitalize on what we're really good at? Which I think that they have really nailed with it. I think that they're in the system itself, phenomenal. I love what it does. It's almost their like marketing mentality and their marketing campaign, and where they're deciding to focus their energy on, and all their time and whatever. It's more that I struggle with seeing where the end result is, right? Like, again, I am really getting irritated with all the ports. I get it's awesome for people that are not caught up. Like, I had a buddy of mine who bought a Switch, and he hasn't owned a video game system. I think he got a PS3 at the end of the life cycle and just never really ever played it, right?
Okay.
And so he just hasn't been in the video gaming world for like 7 years or something ridiculous. And he got a Switch and he absolutely loves it. And I said, this is the system for you, bro. Right. It totally is. If you buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox right now, because you've been out of that world so much, you're just going to feel alienated, right? Like the Switch, again, is that gateway drug video game system that you could play and totally love for a while, but then you're going to hit that wall where it's like, but I want it to do these things. And you're going to have to graduate to the big boy system and get that home console if you want that real true home console experience, right? Which I think maybe that's what it suffers more with for me, is that it's not quite capturing that.
What's interesting too, the way that people play it, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Like their studies or whatever show that the system is used 50% handheld and 50% docked.
Yeah. Which is, again, they nailed their market, right? Like that's what it's designed for.
But and two, to your point,
how many of those people are the 50-50 though, right? Like 50 people use it docked, 50 people use it one way, but how many people use it 50-50?
Right.
Do they still count? Right? Like,
I mean, I would assume.
Yeah.
I would assume I had friends too who have not bought a system since like the GameCube, that were like, man, the Switch looks awesome. I can take it to work with me. I can, it's something I can play with my kids again, whatever. And had not been playing games at all. But the Switch was the system that they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's jump back in. So
it's perfect for that. I think anybody that's on the fence and you've been out of the video game world for a while, I think it is a solid choice to go with for jumping in.
Dude, last week I helped. So anybody that has listened to any of my shows or anything, I talk about my aunt and uncle a lot because my uncle's the one that got me into gaming when I was like.
Is your uncle the one that we did the hay with?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I don't think so. He actually used to live right near here.
Okay.
But
So did you.
He since moved away. Right.
Yeah.
So he called me and said, "Hey, my mother-in-law, who I believe is like probably in her 70s, was like wants to get a Switch for her husband who's turning like 72. Will you help her out?" So I met her at Best Buy. We picked up a Switch. We picked up a memory card. We picked up
all the things you need to make it work.
No, just an eShop card.
Yeah.
eShop card and a carrying case.
Yeah.
And because all he wants to play is pinball.
That's it?
Pinball effects.
Nice.
So he spent all but $4 buying pinball boards, and
You didn't even need the memory card.
He's happy as a probably not. He's
Yeah.
also playing Skyrim, but he'll probably lose interest in it pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, which is just crazy, right? Like I didn't expect to ever get that phone call. Like, hey, can you help this woman in her 70s go and get a Switch for?
Yeah.
But he played pinball and was like, oh, this is simple. I can navigate this menu. It's not confusing. It's super minimalistic.
Yeah.
And is able to jump in and have a good time doing it. So it's really reaching such a large demographic. Now he could have done that on a PlayStation. He could have done that on an Xbox. And I think even when she was all said and done, when she saw the final price, was like, holy,
Yeah.
So
We're all reading the chat.
I
stream.
know.
Yeah.
I wish that they would. Again, it's great. It really, really is great. But I do wish that me as the gamer that's used to my other systems, I would like a little more new from Nintendo as far as the gaming department goes. I am a big fan of Zelda. I think it is a great game and it is different than all the other Zeldas, so I really appreciate that about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's my favorite Zelda, but I do like it, right? Mario, I didn't have the same thrill with. Again, it seemed kind of empty, the environments. Like there's not a lot really going on. The camera's really wonky in it, I think. It has some of the issues that some of the other 3D Marios have had. A lot of the games that are coming out are just like these super deluxe ports of their old stuff. Like I know Mario Kart, where you were telling me there's a couple systems I missed in Mario Kart. So some of those tracks are new for me, right? Like I didn't know, but they're coming from other systems also.
Yeah, they do. The last, I think, from the DS forward, every Mario Kart has had 16 new tracks and then 16 classic tracks, so a total of 32.
Yeah, and this one's this is the first one without any new ones.
No, it has. So the thing is that the one on the Switch includes the DLC, which had a mix of classic. Usually the top row is all brand new, and the bottom one is all classic. And that may be the case. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, because you played it for 15 minutes.
No, that one.
Sorry, no, I'm just kidding.
That one I have
I'm
like
just kidding.
230 hours in. So, I have a lot of
God. That's a
But okay, so let me unpack that a little bit. What you were talking about. Nintendo comes into the Switch extremely gun shy, right?
Yeah.
Because they released the Wii U, has a total of 140 games.
Except for with Zelda. Like they were not they were fully aware we have to release this with something. We're going to release it with basically the biggest gun we got, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Zelda was delayed a year because it was supposed to be a Wii U title.
Yeah.
They delayed it. Well, it was delayed more than a year. It was delayed at least 2 years.
It was like a Wii U launch title, and 6 months after releasing the Wii U, they were like, "We should probably hold this back, you guys."
It was going to be kind of like it was going to kind of be the
swan song.
almost.
Yeah.
And then that's what we kind of all thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kept getting delayed, and then eventually became a launch title for the Switch. So Nintendo's gun shy of having the same scenario as the Wii U because they don't have from my understanding at E3 2016, I believe 2016, they spent a lot of time whining and dining.
He's ready to back you up if you need it.
Whining and dining third-party developers.
Yeah.
Right? Bethesda,
I remember that.
as
as
we've seen. But they still didn't know if they were going to get third-party support for this machine. right? So they come into the Switch going, we're going to release new titles for it, and we're also going to release Wii U ports so that at least it looks like there's software coming out on a regular basis for this machine.
So much software coming out for it.
But they didn't know that when the Switch launched. They had no clue how it was going to do, and if it was going to be another Wii U scenario where no third parties got on board, they needed to fill this catalog.
You don't think
themselves.
they had any third parties already committed? They
I'm
had to have explored that.
They absolutely did.
Because they're going like balls out on that, right?
They did, but they didn't know they were going to. I mean, Capcom dipped their toe in the water with a Resident Evil game that was released on DS.
Yeah.
Right. Like, Bethesda was there right from the get go with Skyrim. EA said, "Yeah, sure, FIFA, one game." Right. There wasn't. I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, there's still very little from Activision. Ubisoft they showed Steep, which now has been canceled.
That's fine,
right?
people. Don't throw a fit about that.
From the get go. So,
I played it for more than 15 minutes, and I wish it would have only been 15.
So they had a few third parties that were like, yeah, we'll test the waters.
Yeah.
But it needed to prove itself.
To be fair, then, would you say that in some ways those third-party developers have the same concerns that I have? Like, they're also on the fence for sort of the same reasons as I am, because they're looking at it from this PlayStation Xbox perspective where they're like, we have all these other things and they're working here and we could go that route where we know it's going to be a success. But then there's this side where we're still kind of leery about it and they're definitely doing their own thing.
I think they
right?
did, but they don't anymore.
I think they're definitely coming around, right?
Yeah.
With 20 million Switches already in the wild, they're no longer concerned. They want to have for the most part. Capcom's releasing more stuff. Now you have Blizzard releasing Diablo, right? Like,
well, and Valkyria Chronicles 4 is coming out for it,
Yep.
and Valkyria Chronicles is one of my all-time just favorite games. That game is so good. It really might be that first game that I pay like a full price release price for, and again, for me, it's the handheld aspect. I can sit there in bed and play that, throw it back in its case, bring it with me to work, and on my lunch break, I can get halfway through a battle, shut it down, and then pick it up again when I get home.
Sure.
For like that game, I think really caters to that handheld setup, and I think I might be on board to get that for the Switch.
And the demo's available.
It's already out for it.
It's been out for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I might just wait because I know what it is, and I've heard that
I think
3 was a departure that was disappointing.
I think
they're bringing it back.
I think you want to download it and leave it on there because I think it unlocks something in game if you end up getting it that way. So that probably is true for all the consoles. So if there is, I think it's a little extra. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's quite a few games that have done that now.
Yeah.
But so I think Nintendo made a very good decision in releasing Wii U ports on the Switch.
I agree. I think that's good.
Because if third parties did not get behind this thing, they were still going to say, look, we're going to have close to a game a month coming out for this thing. Because the Wii U, man, it was rough. There were times that it was like, there's not even a holiday
really,
release.
To be fair, though, like even the Wii had moments where it was rough. Where it was like...
But there's like 1,300 games on that system, so there was still like... Pool Party 17 was coming out or whatever.
Yeah, like something, right? Yeah.
What everyone was asking for.
Yeah, right. I don't know, 2 copies of that.
Right, you can now find it for 5 cents in the value bin or whatever. But so, and then so what we saw, like Yoshi, right? They showed Yoshi. We talked about this on my podcast last night. They showed Yoshi at E3 2017, and then nothing this year. And everybody was kind of like, what? And then it got delayed until 2019. And then we just saw stuff for Yoshi on this last Nintendo Direct. And the game looks entirely different. It looks interesting all of a sudden. Because Kirby
is a port.
No, this is a brand new title.
Okay.
But I have my gut feeling, and I can't, this is nothing more than an opinion.
Yeah.
Is that Nintendo would have released that game in that state if there wasn't so many other games available for the Switch owners. Now there's so many third parties and so many games coming out that like they can say, yeah, we're going to delay this and make it better.
Yeah.
Which is super smart. I think February 21st. I think that's when like Sekiro comes out, a big PlayStation exclusive, like 5 other different games, and it's like, why not just delay it and actually sell it, right? Don't put your game in when everyone else is releasing a bunch of big games. That's really smart, and
like Red Dead and Battlefield. They're like, we're gonna wait till January. We'll let you use your Christmas gift cards for Battlefield.
The world is gonna be dominated by Red Dead for a while.
Yeah, no, it's smart, and that happened to Battleborn when that came out around Overwatch. Everyone's like, I'm not gonna buy Battleborn. I'm gonna buy Overwatch. Right. They should have delayed it. Yeah, people are dumb sometimes, but that's really smart of Nintendo to do that.
Yeah, I think that they have made some great decisions, and I almost think of Nintendo more like out of the 3 systems. Nintendo is the most that's a brand, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think of Xbox and Sony as more of that like head-to-head competitors, but they're not the brand, right? Like they have way more of that like third-party backing, and they do have games that they release themselves.
Yeah,
but you don't see like the PlayStation logo and the Xbox logo selling their stuff as much as you do Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Nintendo totally, they are a brand. They know what they're doing with that. And I applaud them for those things.
Mm-hmm.
I just struggle with it where they're at in this kind of limbo, because I think they're also defining themselves. I'm defining myself as the Nintendo fan for the Switch also along this process. I do really enjoy it. I wish there wasn't so many peripherals. I wish that some of the games would come out and be more new games as opposed to the kind of rebooted stuff, because I've already been exposed to it for some of it for years already.
But at the same time, the Switch fans haven't, so it's
which I think is awesome for the Switch, and I love that it is doing as well as it's doing so that those people can get those experiences. And this is like that like Star Wars element again that we were talking about at dinner, right? Like, even though you don't like Last Jedi, somebody else out there might, and then now they're going to go back and discover these other things, and suddenly now you might have a classic trilogy fan with you, right? Which I'm fine with that. Again, it's that gateway mentality, right? And I do get all that.
I want to point out, chat's talking about like how the Switch is an indie powerhouse, right? So Nintendo has kind of positioned themselves with this console as like, it is the handheld. It is going to have our first-party games. It's now going to have third-party games, and even mature third-party games.
Yeah, which is a big step for
It's
Nintendo.
going to have obscure third-party games, or even, like, I guess you might even call them second-party games or exclusives.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing about it, I just lost my train of thought completely. But as far as indies go, I mean, Dead Cells sold incredible on that. Like, there's been a few games. I think it was 4-1 to PlayStation.
But I think, to be fair, as far as the indie part goes, I think you're like preaching to the choir, because I think PlayStation has been one of the biggest indie game supporters ever.
I don't think it's about support. I think he's trying to say it's about how it's easier to play it on the Switch because it's a handheld. It can be a handheld.
So
that's what I'm thinking.
It's that. Here's what my point was that I lost track of.
Okay.
It's that.
Back to it.
It's that the Switch has began to break the mold of the typical Nintendo fan that only buys Nintendo first-party titles.
Yes.
Right? There were indies on the Wii U. There were indies on the 3DS. Even the DSi had DSiWare that was basically indies. But most, I mean, and you even see it in comments and Twitter and stuff like that, there are still people that are like, I just want Nintendo games. Just give me, just give me Animal Crossing. Whereas, like, I'm of the mind that's like, just give me good games from multiple companies, right? Would I say Doom was the best experience on the Switch? Of course not. I have it on my Xbox One. I've seen it in 60 frames a second in 1080p, and it looked awesome. Like if you have to choose between the two, even as a Nintendo fan, I would say, go with the more powerful. If you got the surround sound or the whatever, like, get the best experience possible. But if you want it on the go, and most of your friends are there, then get it. Now you're not stuck to just, I have it on Xbox, but I can't play with my friends that have it on the Switch.
I think, like the point you made earlier, whereas even if you just love to play Doom and your wife loves to watch Real Housewives of whatever, and that's the last thing you want to do, it is totally handheld. You can play that still snuggling up on the couch, right? And you're still a couple doing your different things, but still both having a blast, right? Which I've done with my Switch. Either my wife plays it while I watch, whatever, and vice versa. So I totally see that appealing quality about it. Do you think that as people play some of these games that are getting ported to the Switch that are on the other systems, that they might get like system curious and go over to the other ones, and then they might start trickling off on your Switch a little bit?
Not right now, because every game that's come out has already been on the other systems first. Doom is going to be the first one. Doom Eternal is going to be launching day and date with, and Panic Button.
Valkyria is that way. Valkyria Chronicles is also that way.
Right. And so, I mean, if...
I'm really in this boat of like, I want Valkyria for my Switch because I think that's a super sweet handheld version, right? Whereas some of these others, I don't want to play them handheld style. I want like the awesome surround sound.
Right.
And I want the full deal because that game is an experience, right?
Sure. But yeah, I watched you play Horizon. The last time they did this, I was like, whoa, this looks rad. Like, what are you on your 60-inch TV out there with surround sound?
Yeah, I got the surround sound cranked, right?
It's a good. That's the way you want to experience that. But a lot of gamers now sit in front of a 24-inch monitor.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's. I rarely, unless I'm playing with my family, I don't really play games down in my living room. You know, like I don't. If I'm gonna, like we said, I'm gonna be streaming if I'm playing, so I'm in my office, playing on a 24-inch monitor. Yeah.
Well, and again, it really is a complementary system, like you said. I think it's phenomenal for that. I think it's a great gateway system.
Yep.
Totally is really good at that. Anybody that has been out of the gaming world that would like to dabble back in it, the perfect way to dip your toe in the pool is to get a Switch. Mm-hmm. Really, really is. My situation is pretty, maybe a little more unique. I thought it was, at least, until Nick was on the show, and he basically had the same thing, where mine was a gift, right? So I'm pretty sure out of my pocket was like half price. So it worked out sweet for me, and I've super enjoyed it since then. I almost think if I would have bought it, just coming from the background that I come from with games, it might have let me down a little bit had I spent that full $300 on it, plus my memory card and my case, and like when you start adding up all that stuff, it might have let me down a little bit more. I think that they're doing really good things with it. I'm really curious to see what happens with it. Like, I want to know what's going to happen with the Switch, especially in the next couple years, especially as our PlayStation and our Xbox go
to the next generation.
Right? Like, what's going to happen with the Switch? The online with the controllers, the $60 two controllers is a little scary to me because they do only work with your online game. You can only buy one per online account from Nintendo directly, which is also a little interesting to me because now to even get them, you have to have the online account. To ever use them, you have to maintain your online account. Like things like that they do, I question a little more.
I think they're a novelty.
Yeah.
These controllers,
But they're totally what people that are fans of Nintendo are going to get.
Correct.
There's no Nintendo fan out there that isn't going to buy that.
Right. No,
Especially
I've
because
seen a few people that are like, I think I'm going to go with the 8-bit Do controller. It's just another. It looks like a Super Nintendo controller. It's a mix of a Super Nintendo controller and a PlayStation controller. The sticks are both in the middle, but it's and they make some other ones that look just like a wireless Super Nintendo controller, right? I've seen a few people say like, I can't believe you can only play this with NES games. But my question is, what else are you going to play it with?
Yeah, totally.
How many games have 2 buttons and a D-pad now that work? Maybe Shovel Knight and a few other like real retro games. There's not very many, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge Nintendo collector. This kind of stuff for me is like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. But
especially because they're super limited. Well, they're making them at least appear that way, which Nintendo does. They just do that.
They are doing it smart as far as it's a pre-order that's not going to come out until December. So they're giving people plenty of time. I did see a funny article. Somebody tagged me an article today that was like, Nintendo Switch Online is sold out, and people are already reselling it for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Because it's limited. Yeah. It's still mint in the box.
But I mean, and it's because they have that, there's that negative connotation of like, oh, they purposely limit stuff, which I think with the NES Classic anyway, they actually their market research was garbage, and they didn't realize that, wow, this thing,
But they do that with everything.
as far
Whenever Nintendo comes out, it's harder to buy whatever that new Nintendo thing is than any other systems thing.
it was, I don't know that it is now.
My wife said she just walked in the store and bought a Switch.
Right. And I mean, I looked in Best Buy just the other day. I was picking up Labo, and they literally had probably 30 NES classics and 30 of the SNES classics, right? Like they're stocked.
Yeah,
Everybody's finally stocked, They did take longer, but I mean, everybody was pretty hyped about those things, They were pretty excited.
How many of the games that came out on the NES Classic are in that 20 game lineup? Are there any of those? I was wondering about that.
They double up. They double up for sure. I would have to. I don't have it in front. I would have to look at it.
They're there though.
But there's probably 12.
Jack's like, I got it, guys. Tell me what you want to look
There's
up.
probably 12 that overlap.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing. Just to make a guess, I'm thinking there's 12. So.
But really, the guy who bought the NES Classic and is going to pay for his thing is probably getting those $60. He is a fan of Nintendo and doesn't care anyway.
Yeah, I mean, my wife saw those controllers and was like, "We're getting those, right?" I mean, I was honestly kind of shocked. Like, I mean, we but like she was like, "We're not going to miss those, right? We're going to make sure we get." Like, she was very adamant about like, make sure we have those. So, okay.
And I think it's super smart of Nintendo to require you to buy your online subscription to be able to get them. Like, that is just smart marketing on their end, right? And really, one of the biggest credits I give to my Switch is it is that gateway drug, and I think my wife is hooked, right? Mm-hmm. Which is going to make that make her... she's never really mind video games. She really doesn't care when I play them, but she's never been really into them herself. So, the lineup of the new games.
Without looking at the other one at the same time, it'd be a little tough.
Get your other phone out, Jack.
Yeah, where's your other phone, man?
But the Switch has been the first thing I've seen her attached to as a gaming console, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've never really seen her do that before.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that's only happened like in the past week.
Right.
So I really started to see it kind of from that other perspective. And I do totally get it.
Well, it's like that pinball effect, right? That guy
totally.
Is just playing pinball. He's probably never gonna play anything else. Like, man. I know, but he will tell you like, my coordination's not what it used to be.
It's the gateway. Like, he's like that old hippie that's just fine with the shake, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
I don't need the harder stuff.
I will say this because like Captain Logan's saying, I'm that guy in Nope, and I'm assuming he's talking about the controllers, right? Those the $60.
Yeah.
Nintendo knows what they have with their fan base. They know that their main demographic is people our age. That probably have more disposable income.
I think they're one of the first people in the video game industry to really recognize that and market to that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so when we see those controllers, we go, "Oh, I gotta have them."
Yeah.
I gotta have them. And
we're the ones paying for the online for our kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm making an assumption here, but is somebody in their 20s that's not like into retro stuff really all that excited about those controllers?
I can answer that. Not really.
See?
Yeah.
I guess I'm not
but
in my
also,
20s yet.
Anybody that's our age that is that super fanboy of those old NES games or even SNES. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say the word, but I've got the biggest ROM library in the world and an emulator that will run those games. And but if you're a nerd of those things, you've owned that for 15 years, 10 years at least now, right? Like, it's not like that's a
Chat's
new
crying
thing.
right now. They're crying. They're crying. Good going. So, and look at Nightcrawler. Says, I'm not going to open mine. Like, I don't have a choice. I'm probably going to end up buying 2 sets so I can have one unopened and one that we use.
Which means you now have to get...
Well, I bought a family plan. So
Okay,
each person
so you
on
can get
the
8 of
family
them.
plan can buy a set of controllers. So.
It's brilliant marketing.
Dude, that's the thing that people have to remember. And like, I've had people like get so angry at me, like yell at me and then unfollow me on Twitter because I'm like, hey, remember Nintendo's a business. They're like,
oh, they are brand.
Video games are art. How could you say that? I'm like, Did you spend money on this?
Yeah.
And even if it's art, you should still support the artist by paying money.
And even if it's the other way around, and it is like the super capitalizing on all the stuff that the classic fans of the gaming industry aren't a fan of what it's turning into, right? If it forces any of it to go back to making games art, I'm also okay with that,
Sure.
right? Like that's a win-win. I'm fine with it.
And that's what we're seeing when we're seeing indies that are like these gorgeous pieces of art. You know?
Yeah.
We're seeing that, and it's now possible. I mean, look at like a game like Stardew Valley, made by one person. That guy's a millionaire now.
Yeah.
Because he took the time and made something that he missed in the gaming world. He's like, we don't have this. What happened to Good Harvest Moons?
Yeah.
So now he made it himself. Now he's set. Like in Minecraft, things like that. Like this kind of stuff wasn't possible in the 80s, 90s, and now it is, and it's incredible. And we get to play it in bed. We get to play it on the go. And so and so
Not doing a whole ton for our sex life.
Well,
but
I mean,
video games have never been known to do that. But
we can only hope for the future.
Yeah. Hey, babe, want to get hot and heavy into some Switch?
I mean,
my wife
without
turns me away so quick for more Picross now every night. It's like, it's terrible for that part of my life, but it's really great for the video game part of my life.
I'm feeling uncomfortable now.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So the other thing I want to bring up, because Nintendo for the longest time has always been about, we're going to make what we want and you're going to like it.
I love them for that. They have the biggest balls in the video game industry.
But they've realized that in today's market, that doesn't work. They have started listening to the consumer more than they ever have. They have, if games have, like Mario Tennis had problems with some characters that were way overpowered and were unstoppable online. Within I think it was a week and a half to 2 weeks, we had an update for that game, and it was being addressed.
Yeah.
The online, the fact that they delayed it a year to try to add more value to it, that wasn't the Nintendo of old. That wasn't the Nintendo that said, no, we're going to sell the Wii U because we were really sure it's going to do great.
Yeah.
It didn't. They have to know what the consumer wants.
Well, especially this isn't the 80s, right? Mm-mm. In the world that we live in now, where you do something and the potential for getting this negative recourse from it on social, whatever, is phenomenal.
Exactly.
Right? Like it just is. You're going to get more of that than a positive.
Oh, the Nintendo Online Service YouTube video has 34,000 downvotes or thumbs down.
Yeah.
And like 17,000 thumbs up. So I mean, it's somebody at Nintendo knows that they're still unhappy about this.
Something's got to be fixed here, guys. Yeah.
But that's the one thing that they can do with this product. I mean, Xbox Live was not great when it started. PSN, when they started charging, wasn't great when it started.
Wait, did they start charging it when it was still in the web browser?
I don't remember.
Because it started in an external web browser, which was just like...
Yeah. They've all come a long ways.
They've all had to come a long ways. And we've had a free service. I mean, the DS and the Wii both went online for free. The Wii U and the 3DS have been online for free. And Nintendo is now, hopefully, what's happening is they're actually investing money into this thing so that they can continue to make it better and maybe get it stable enough that voice chat becomes a thing that's possible through a Bluetooth headset that comes out down the road.
Yeah, well, and I think they're going to have to address things like that,
and they need to
stay relevant, especially with our Xbox and our PlayStation. Our next generation's, what are we, 2 years away? We got to be, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think that's the biggest window we got is another 2 years.
And what I foresee happening with the Switch at that point is they do more like they did with Ubisoft, where they give third-party companies rights to the licensing rights to make a game for them. So we've seen Mario plus Rabbids, we're seeing Star Fox in Starlink.
Yeah.
And really, the Starlink game is probably going to be the best Star Fox game we've seen since like the 64. And so
did you do it, Jack?
Oh,
you didn't make me pull it. Thanks, Jack.
Sorry, I thought I was good enough, but I guess I'm not.
I'm gonna have to do the worst podcasting ever because I've had 3 beers.
You gotta.
But you have to give me like
it going.
5 seconds.
Yeah, no, we're good. I can talk. I always just talk.
I can listen.
I'll take some questions from chat or something. So, Mythical says, I just think it's important for the maximum amount of people to articulate what should be better. Yeah, and the thing is, with people on the internet, typically it's just a, like outrage culture. Like everybody's so pissed, and my pitchfork is out, and I'm ready to just let them know how much they've screwed up. When it's like, the reality is like and I've mentioned this on multiple shows. Nintendo is every time I buy a game or download a game, I get a survey. What did you think of this? How can we fix it? Almost every game. Do you like this? Is it good? How can we improve it? Whatever. So they're seeing those downvotes on that YouTube video. There's no question about it. They're hearing people's complaints. I feel like they did something else that I feel like kind of got that overshadowed a little bit. You earn coins with each purchase, whether it be digital or physical. You can pay for your online service with those gold coins.
Yeah.
So literally, I mean, I'm trying to think. I think you get like 50 cents for a physical game, and like I think it's double for a digital game.
I actually like that mentality.
So
give me an incentive to go for digital.
Yeah. So and right now, like if you pre-purchase Mario Party, I think you get like twice that. I think you get like $6 in gold coins. Don't quote me on that because I don't have it in front of me. But
you don't want your what's her name?
I don't. Oracle. Are you
Oracle?
Here?
Yeah.
She's my
instantly
Oracle.
back in the chat.
Right. So, but I think it is. I think it's $6 back that you get for going digital on these pre-purchases. So you do that 3 times in a year, you've paid for your online.
Yeah.
Like it's paid for. You have $2 out of pocket and put whatever the tax is, so I feel like they've still set up ways that it's like, this doesn't have to cost you that much. And it's only 20 or 35 for 7 people.
It's 5% of the amount you pay is transferred into the gold coins or the gold points, Nintendo gold points.
There's your for physical or digital.
This is for digital.
Right. And so I think it's 1% for
1 point. Let's see. And then it says 1 point equals 1 cent. And then 1% on physical purchases. Yeah.
So,
but still, like,
Nintendo sucks. That's harsh.
No. Okay, what he's saying is that there was a long discussion earlier in the chat about the Splatoon backup and what they should be doing, and he's saying like what people should be saying. Nintendo should allow us to choose what games we should have backups for. What's really happening? Nintendo sucks, which is a good point. Kind of going back into feedback and surveying and how we need to be like. Just need to calm down a little bit and just rationally explain this is what we want.
Well, and I think that Captain Logan brings up a major point, which is that I also agree that the incentive to buy digital, which has been a major complaint I've had as far as digital games go, is that there is no incentive, right? It's the same price as a physical copy, but I can touch it, I can smell it, I can like it is.
So let's talk about it because I heard you guys talking about this with Nick.
Well, and that drives me nuts. Well, and then he's saying that that's true, but now Switch is super limiting your space. Unless, how are you going to download all those games?
Yeah, you have to.
Which I also agree that is an issue. That's another.
But that's
thing
also
that I
an
have
issue.
To buy right
that's
away.
also an issue with every console right now. If you have a 4K television, you're looking at games that are over 100 gigs.
Yeah, but you're also talking something that comes with minimum 500 gigs built in, ready to go, versus something that what does the Switch come with?
32
gigs.
Right, but.
That's like a joke. Is that a joke? Is that a typo? Like the guy in the factory when he was typing out the info, was he like, it's a joke, but it'll be funny.
I mean, look, again.
And then somebody read it wrong, right? I don't know.
I wish it was more, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, right now you get an Xbox One X is probably a terabyte.
Yeah. I think all the new, like the Primo Elite systems I think you get a terabyte.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the standard.
Some of these games are over for a 4K, all your assets, you're going to put 10 games on your system.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think
again,
Odyssey was like 5 gigs.
Yeah.
I think. Right? Nintendo's
to
compression
be fair,
is
it kind of
crazy.
looks like it. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick about Odyssey, but when I first played Odyssey, I really thought boy, it's really bland. Like, where's the rest of the stuff in the world? Like, it's these little islands of things in this, like, kind of floaty level.
Did you beat it?
I haven't beat it yet.
See,
I'm, like, on,
okay,
like, the 4th or 5th world.
you have to beat
The
this
one
game.
game you have beat, right?
Like,
the one game you've spent
no,
more than 15 minutes on. I've
because
only
He spent.
because you
You're
are
banging on him a lot. Wow, Marcus.
No, it's cool. I can handle it. I get it all the time.
Well, we've been doing this for how many years?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Like,
we're gonna be friends tomorrow. It's
exactly.
fine.
But you need to beat that game.
Okay.
Like, you need to beat that because
I can't. Okay, here's the big hang up on that game.
Okay.
Is that it's the one game that, again, this is a little bit of an issue I have with the Switch, but so far I've yet to find a game where I can have multiple save files. So I'm stuck with the one I have, and I've been playing it with my wife, right? And she's not going to play it enough to start her own profile. So we play Mario together.
So,
Together we have
but if she's playing
30
Pit
hours
Cross,
into it.
she's playing Pit Cross,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Set up her own. Get her set up. Like, even if you're
Get the family
But
plan.
then it,
Be a
you
good
don't.
husband.
I guess I could
Be a good
start
husband,
another-
Marcus.
You could still pay for the one. It's to the Switch. Whoever's on that account on that Switch.
And I
has
found out how
online.
to turn it off when it asks you who you want to be, because I let Jay borrow it, and
Mm-hmm.
he started his own account. And every time when I would start a game, it would ask me who to do, and it
Right,
really
right.
pissed me off. So I deleted his account, and I thought that'll fix it.
Oh, right,
And it
right.
still asked me, and I was like, "There's only one.
Right,
Why
right.
are you even asking me?"
Yeah.
But I did figure out how to turn that
Yeah,
off.
you
and I
can
was
set
stoked.
just to the main account or
Yeah, yeah.
primary account.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but you need to beat Odyssey. You need to beat Odyssey because you're gonna get to the end of that game and you're gonna be like, this was a love letter to Nintendo fans.
Oh, let's not make... I don't want to be convoluted about it at all. I think the Switch in general is a love letter to Nintendo fans.
Mm-hmm.
I think just as the Switch, that is what this system is. And I don't think there should be any... We shouldn't try to make that convoluted in any way. I really, really feel passionately about that. I think that is one of its most appealing standout qualities, is that if you want Nintendo... It's literally in your hands and the definitive edition of that.
Yeah.
Which I think
Even
all
more
day
so,
long, it deserves credit for that.
I mean, these two kind of go hand in hand, but it is a love letter to Mario, like Super Mario Brothers fans, like from the if you were
Except
a kid,
for Luigi, right?
if you were a kid in the 80s and early 90s that played Super Mario Brothers, like
Yeah.
you need to get to the end of Odyssey. Like my face hurt from smiling. I could not stop smiling as I finished that game. It was
All right. Well, and I plan on finishing it. It's going to be a slow process.
Odyssey took Game of the Year from Zelda for me because of the end of
Wow.
of that game. So yeah, have you made it to like New Donk City?
Man, it's been a little while since I played it.
It's like
I've been playing so much Picross.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So but yeah, play that. Get through it because you won't regret it.
Okay.
You won't regret it. It will probably it'll probably change your mind even. Like you'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm glad I
wonder if it's
completed
the
it.
same God of War moment that I will not say what that is because I respect the internet and everybody else out there that has come across it.
I don't know if
But-
anything can quite top that.
I would say I kind of feel that same way, but what you're describing reminds me of a moment in God of War.
I guess I
that
should
it
be
just-
thinking about for other people that my love for God of War is like their love for Nintendo. So that moment, I know what you're talking about in New Donk City. Everyone always talks about it, and I don't get it as much because I'm not like as big of a Mario fan. But I think yeah, maybe I think you'll actually like it. Probably not as
Are
much.
you the same way where it's like let's not really even say what that moment is and let
Oh, yeah, I don't
let
wanna-
the fans.
Yeah, you need
There's
to.
totally those games,
I
right?
mean, it's old now. I mean, it's not old,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, it's but I don't want to. I don't want to have anything ruined for you.
no.
For
Well,
you.
but I
Like,
don't want to ruin those moments in games either for other
right.
people. Those are the moments.
I don't like spoiling anything.
Oh no! Well, I'm fine with like the little stupid things that people care about that aren't really
I'm not,
whatever.
like, I'm not super worried about it.
But there are certain moments in certain games that just like set that standard, right? And just
Mm-hmm.
will resonate with everybody. And I could see that being the case with that.
You're going to get to the end and you're going to be like, I can't. It's one of those things that you're like, I
It
can't
might
believe
I
I'm
might
doing
have
this.
seen something about it, but yeah. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Now you made me curious. Now I'm gonna have to. God damn it, Josh! You're gonna get another novel message
right.
from me. You
no,
know that,
good,
right? Right.
Good. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Just I mean, because it took me back. I think a lot. I mean, the reason I'm such a big fan of Nintendo is because every time I see the logo, every time I see Mario, it takes me back to just, I don't want to say better times. It's not like my life sucks right now. But when you're a kid and you lose yourself in a game, simpler times, but you lose yourself in a game, that's not as easy to do.
You realize the irony
of
that,
dude.
because that's what you used to enjoy, and it's what you don't enjoy now.
But not to say I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I wouldn't work as hard as I do at what I'm doing if I didn't love it.
And I would say, it's people I know, you're one of the hardest working guys in that realm ever. You totally deserves props for that. It's funny that you would say that's where the passion came from, and not that you aren't passionate, but the passion has shifted, right?
I still lose myself in the game. Like Odyssey took me back to those moments. When I got to the end, when I got to New Donk City and I got to the end of Odyssey, it took me back to those moments where, and it's not just taking me back to as a kid, but like people that we've lost, even that we graduated with and stuff. Like, I mean, like my best friend, we were so hyped for Mario 2. So when I see something Mario, I can't help but like look back on those times,
for sure. Yeah.
So it's,
well, and I think
there's tons of nostalgia, but there's more to it than that. It's not just the fact that this was fun.
I think again this speaks to our age and that generation, because again for us, we were there playing games when Nintendo was in their heyday. Mm-hmm. Like Nintendo was what it was. It was the gold standard. There wasn't anything better than Nintendo, right?
Right.
And I think to reinvigorate and re-experience that for ourselves is awesome. And again, it's this huge nod to Nintendo for knowing their audience. They do know the Nintendo fan audience. They really do.
Yeah. And I mean, since Halo came out, I've spent a lot of my time gaming leaning forward, right? Mm-hmm. Like intense competition with the Switch and with a lot of these games, I can lean back. I can relax.
That is a really good analogy. That deserves an explosion.
So an explosion.
Yeah. You can't hear it. But it was deserved.
So that's something that's kind of been refreshing too. Is just, and the other thing. Here's what's really. I don't know if you've checked out any of these games. I think it's called Bloodstained is one of them. The Messenger is another one. And I believe these games are on PlayStation and stuff like that. But these games are coming out. They're from like I believe the one of the original creators of Castlevania.
Yeah, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I know. I heard a lot about that.
That game plays how we remember Nintendo games playing, right? Because you know how you go back to stuff and it's like, man, that was so much better in my memories than it actually was.
For sure.
Some of these games look like the games we played, but they actually play how we remember versus how they actually play, which sometimes is just like garbage. I just beat Castlevania. The mechanic of the knockback mechanic, like, good golly, like, it's killing me.
Would you say at least like I feel like we're like going on to 2 hours
Hour
here.
42. Yeah.
Would you say at least that, because I think we're both, I'm hoping in this boat, that even though Nintendo makes some huge changes with each system, right? They really do. Each system is dramatically different than the other. That potentially what they've found here with the Switch is a real gem that they can build upon, as opposed to reinventing it every single system. I would love for that to be the case with the Switch, personally.
This feels like the culmination of all the systems that have always had some shortcoming. And I mean, no system's perfect.
No. I have complaints. If you want to talk for an hour about PlayStation complaints, I got those too. Yeah, totally.
But I mean, it's not like the Switch is the end. Like, believe me, there's things. I mean, it could be improved. We've been talking about them. But this feels like technology met vision with the Switch.
Yeah.
That Nintendo is finally able to. I mean, motion controls on the Switch are amazing. So much better than they've ever been on any other since the Wii. Yeah. Right? Nintendo tried. I mean, they ended up with Wii Motion Plus. They kept innovating, kept trying to make it better. But now, I mean, you play a game like ARMS, which I know not a lot of people play. When you play a game like ARMS,
ARMS is good. I like it. Yeah.
It's amazing with motion controls. They added motion controls to third-person shooters and first-person shooters. The third-party companies are coming back and adding motion control, which all you're doing is tilting your controller.
I hate it. I'm not a fan of
So
it.
look, I didn't like it either because I'm like, this is bonkers.
Yeah.
I could
Even
probably
in Zelda, like when you have to like do the dungeons where you have to move something and turn it, I will detach the one Joy-Con so I can hold the screen still and then move the one Joy-Con so I could do it, right? I hate motion control. It's one of my biggest complaints, like on the Vita when it tried to do anything like that too.
I see. But I think part of that is our age a little bit, that we're like, just give me the controls and let me do it.
We're totally on that fence of like needing to push our spectacles back up and just like, what's it say? Like we are, right? Yeah.
So, but then you got Splatoon where you're doing this motion to aim up and down, and you can get these precision shots that I'm like, I'm never going to get used to this. It's giving me motion sickness, and I hate to admit this because I'm like, I feel like an old man going, I need Dramamine for this first-person shooter, this third-person shooter. But now that I'm used to it, I can't go back.
Well, that's like potentially the closest they might get to VR for a long time too anyway, right?
They were thinking, I heard about like augmented reality. Like Pokemon Go.
Well, they've done that before with other systems.
Not.
I've seen like with the cards and whatever you can do.
Like on the PSP.
That's something
DS
they've always
and
kind of dabbled with. Yeah,
right. So yeah, I think the Switch is finally, like, their vision has finally caught up with technology, and they're able to do what they've, like, it's a combination of the DS, the Wii, and the Wii U. It's all of these things put together.
Yeah.
And although it is a hybrid, and although it's not, like, is this strictly a handheld? It really is. It said no, it's not. But it's also given us the ability, like, we could take these Joy-Cons off right here and start playing a game together. Yeah. It's never been possible before. Yeah. You know, I had to buy multiple DSs so that we could. I mean, I remember, like, okay, I had 6 DSs so we could all play Mario Kart together.
Yeah.
And but that was the only way to play that many people in Mario Kart. Now, you could set up 2 Switches and play 8 people in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
You know.
We can all sit like this with our heads touching, doing whatever, right?
Yeah, we got to try to act out the
get to know
commercials.
each other really well.
And the same with Smash. I mean, the fact that you could play with Wii U and 3DS with the new Smash, or with, I guess, the old Smash.
Right,
now.
Smash 4, yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And the fact that it's like, you can just pick up this tiny controller, and you can still probably pull off, like, a lot of the, like, I mean, yeah, you can probably pull off, like, all the moves.
If you've been playing Smash on DS, switching to you could still do a single joy. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
But you could still, if you've been playing Smash on the original 3DS, the control scheme is identical.
Whoever loses, I guess, has to play in the Joy-Con. Yeah.
I like it. That's good. That's good couch rule. That's how that's got to be.
That's going to happen at my house someday, I bet.
Well, and I really don't want to come across as like the Nintendo hater, because I'm not.
No, I don't.
I love Nintendo.
I'm not getting that vibe.
No, I hope not. I don't mean to put it out that way.
We've talked about this long enough that you're like, I'm like this. He's just concerned, and like, it's all just some of it's perspective, right? Like where I'm coming from and where I see it, I'm like, it's gonna work out over time.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, you're not really you don't have the same concerns I have.
No.
We're really coming from such different places, and again, I really think the theme here is it's a gateway gaming system, because what made our 2 opposite ends of the spectrums come together was the Switch. Once again, right?
Yeah. I was on the show the first time as soon as the system came out. And I was showing you guys 1-2 switch, and we were
and we had fun. I mean, again, we played 15 minutes of it, which seems to be your MO.
That's all you need for reviews.
I do really love it. I totally support it. I have my concerns totally from my end of it. And I know you have your own concerns from your end of it. We both have our things that we love about it. I really come down to, I love that it is what brought us together, even though, right? Like, even because of the Switch, we're doing this right now,
right?
Which is so super cool.
Yep.
It really, really is. I really do have so many more good things to say about it than negative things. So I really want to, I want to seal it with that. I do think we should probably wrap up here. We've been running for a long time. Yeah. This has been phenomenal. I want to thank you for coming and drinking beer with me.
Yeah, for sure.
So please tell people where they can do it. Even though it's 90% your people in the chat anyway, please tell them once again where they can find your shows and chat with you and give you a hard time about being an old man.
Right. Yeah. I always get razzed about disappointing everybody.
Yeah.
But they're used to it. It's the MO. So, first of all, guys, anybody in chat, please hit that like button. please subscribe to this channel because these guys work really hard. This setup that we're sitting in right now is amazing. So show these guys some love. Make sure you subscribe to their podcast on iTunes, all that stuff. But hit that like button on this video so that it can help them get some more traction, please.
Please.
If you don't know who I am, I go by N64Josh. I host 2 podcasts, the Nintendo Powercast and the Smash Bros. Cast. All of my content can be found on n64josh.com. I stream on Twitch pretty much 7 days a week at twitch.tv/n64josh. So you type N64Josh in Google, you're going to find me
you're
everywhere.
gonna find you.
Your
maybe
smiling
even,
face.
maybe even Farmers Only. You never know. We always talk about
Right. Well,
yeah.
and I'm sure we'll have you back. I'd
I hope
love
so.
to have you back.
Yeah.
You know, you're always welcome. If you're in the neighborhood and we have new recording, please crash the show.
Yeah.
You're more than
Yeah,
welcome.
we'll do. Get your boy back here. We got to...
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We got it. We miss you, Jay.
We do.
Miss you, Jay.
Jeremiah.
Love you.
So real quick, as far as our show goes, we are going to keep playing Destiny 2. Slade Gary, that I know you chatted on our stuff that we did on Twitter.
Yeah.
He recommended it. He's going to play. He's going to be on the show with us to talk about it.
Oh, wow.
The anime that we're watching, because we try to do like one every month and a half, depends on how many
I love cartoons.
ridiculous
I'm all about
episodes
cartoons.
there are. Yeah. I know that you, I think more than cartoons, you love to call anime cartoons.
That hurt.
And really,
They're not
for me,
cartoons. They're better
I'm
than
in the
that.
same boat as
Sorry.
you.
They
yeah,
go
I'm in the
beyond.
same boat. I agree. They're cartoons. You know why they're cartoons? Because they're better with a bowl of cereal.
Oh,
Okay.
hey.
Saturday morning,
Hey.
bowl of cereal.
I hear that, man. I hear that.
With some coffee, a little Irish cream in there. You know, that's how I roll.
I don't get it.
But
young
the
for
anime we're watching, or the cartoon, whatever part of the world you're from, is Initial D, and it's actually loads of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to talk about it because I have so many Dragon Ball references that are happening, like parallels, maybe I should say, that are happening in this show. So I'm stoked about
Exponential
that.
power increases.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna keep playing the hell out of my Switch.
Yeah, dude.
And
I'm all about it.
Yeah, I think the beard worked really well for me. I already had to lose some. My tank got full.
As it
that's
got
good.
warmer, it got better.
Really? You thought so?
Yeah.
For me, as it warmed up, it got a little more of the alcohol flavor. Kind of started to come out of it a little bit. And it kind of missed, obviously, some of the crisp, kind of fresh notes it had at the beginning. But really, I think all the way through, it's done pretty well.
Yeah.
I really don't have any complaints about it. I think it's pretty good. We always rate the beer. So I'm going to give this, our Hangout is totally like a unicorn. So that gets a 10.
Okay.
But I'm going to give the beer like, I'm going to say 7.5. It's pretty good.
I'm right there.
7.5?
I mean,
If somebody offered it to you, you wouldn't turn it away.
if it was in my standard, I go by Power Gloves, so it would be a 4 Power Glove beer.
So I did want to mention, you can feel free to use this on your show. You probably won't.
Okay.
But as I was typing out our descriptions in the Twitter, I wanted to say so nerdy and Nintendo-y, right?
Yeah.
But when you read it, it sounded like Nintendo, right? And so I think you should use Nintendo whenever somebody in your stream says something that's so Nintendo obvious. You're just like, dude,
That's a Nintendo. Oh
right?
My God.
So that's a little freebie.
Was that a dad
from
joke?
me to you?
Was that
That's so a dad.
Okay.
I don't even have
I have an
kids.
anti-dad joke thing on my streams. I'm not allowed, like,
can't-
Logan's
what's your
all
stream?
about those dad jokes.
Oh, is
But,
he?
yeah,
Okay,
he's-
so Logan, if you're
so
still
bad.
listening, you can use Nintendo all you want, okay? Rock that out. It's just Nintendo with a Y.
Everything is 4 Power Gloves.
Yeah. Nintendo.
You shouldn't have given Logan that power.
I like it. Now your Power Glove has been ascended to the next level,
There we go.
right?
The Infinity Power Glove.
Yeah. Do you want to say something about your root beer, Jack?
Yeah,
or do
I
we
want to
care?
say that
It'd go great in vanilla ice cream.
maybe I've just these past few root beers I've had have just you already did it. Have been
Nintendo.
I don't know. I haven't been that
Haven't got quite the
Passionate
buzz you
about
were
it.
hoping to get.
No. Oh my gosh. No, it's just they're not
Did it taste like toothpaste? That's the question we always
No.
ask him. Because
there's just
does
not
that mean it's not as good?
there's not much to say about them. There's not much that's like, whoa.
I think
no,
he's
none of the flavors pop.
oversaturated his root beer palate is what's happened.
Yeah.
He's root beer drunk.
I guess
Yeah.
what?
Basically.
I guess you can't really there's not. I mean, there's a lot you can do, but it feels like people aren't doing as much as they can.
Anyway, let's wrap up the show.
Oh my God!
Here we
I was
go.
gonna say probably a 6.5. I need to. Yeah. I might start drinking. I don't know. Just Baja Blast.
Thanks for
every
showing
episode.
up, Jack. You're my favorite intern, by the way.
Thank you.
You get a little bonus in
wait,
your paycheck this week.
0.
Does that mean a
plus
paycheck?
0.
Yeah. Don't make promises. Don't make promises. Thank you, everybody,
should I have
to
this up
joining
right
us in the chat. I super beyond appreciate it. It's phenomenal and amazing. Thank you,
I'm not gonna
Josh,
do
for
that.
bringing them. To all the nerds, through all the fuzz, bottoms up, let's get nerd buzzed.
Talking about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed.
Like, subscribe, Jeremiah.
Marcus and Jeremiah.
Love you, brother.
Yep.
You're on Nerdbuzzed.
Brother. Never forget. Happy to troll. Peace out, guys.
Let's get
I love you.
Nerdbuzzed.
I love you all. Bye, Dad.